Hey, what's up, guys? I thought I would share my thoughts with you about these replicas. I've already been in contact with everybody who's purchased one about basically what's going on with them. Uh, let's see where to begin. I'm working on the next to the last one right now. A couple of these had the 4K upgrade done, and those I'm not having any issues with. Now the 1200 round a minute board, I don't think it's got anything to do with the actual board, but for some reason, other than that first gun, I've been having all kinds of problems with them as far as just trying to get them to run right. So what I've done is, I've just fell back on the knowledge that I've learned over the years messing with modified Blackbirds, and I've just built them out until they function like I want them to function. And that one, the camo gun, the weird thing about that is that guy's a long-time customer, and you can have this, what I'm doing to these, by the way, because everybody else got it. And so if you ever have any issues with yours, I'll be more than happy to beef yours up. But anyway, yeah, I just worked on his 1200 round a minute Blackbird. He sent it to me. He's like, hey, can you get this thing going? It's having BBs just dribbling all out of the barrel. It's not shooting right. I don't know what's going on with it. And I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. He sent it down to me, and it was in and out. I mean, it just no problem fixing it and getting it up to speed. So I don't know. I really don't know what the difference is between these and like a stock or chipped Blackbird. But what I've been doing to them is I've been making an auger for them, putting in a bigger Nishibo motor, and putting in the tube. And so, I mean, they're solid when I get done with them. But man, it frustrates the crap out of me because I don't know. At this point, I'm not really sure where I'm going to be as far as selling these things, because I really don't know. If I charged what I needed to charge for what I'm doing to these, I think it could probably price them out of the market. So I'm not really sure at this point where we're going to go with these from here. So we'll just have to see how that works out. I'd like to get another one that I could just mess around with for a while, because I really don't have much experience with like a stock Blackbird. The first one I ordered from Drosmax was Sergey's 2K board, and it had the Nishibo motor in it, the same one that I'm putting in these, by the way. It had a stock auger. The auger never gave me problems. What's happening with these is the auger keeps jumping off. It's a little spring, and there's a little tail on it right here, and a cog turns that sits in a cog, and the cog turns it around. And what's happening is it'll jump off the cog, and then it won't be turning, it won't be pushing BBs anywhere, but the cog will just be spinning. And all I can figure is that for some reason the motor's not spinning fast enough. But then again, I had one that seemed to function perfectly. I checked back with him. I said, hey, I'm wondering if this is something systemic. Maybe yours got away before I could catch it. He said, no, it's running fine. Put 1,200 rounds through it the other day. Now, that's not to say that he shoots a little more and finds out that it does have this systemic problem to these guns, but it's got me baffled. I even, over the weekend, contacted Ray Duncan, the old owner of Drawsmax, and I talked to him about it, and I told him what was going on. He said, yeah, the only time that's ever been a problem for me was with high pressure air and when I wasn't running these magazine clips. He had a way of dealing with the magazine splitting, because once you put high pressure air in the bigger motor in there, you got the air pushing down on the BBs trying to come up, and you've got the BBs coming up through there, and this is 2/2 of a magazine, and it'll just split that wide open. So what he did was he came up with this thing called a
magazine clip,
and this just goes over like that, and it physically holds the 2/2 of the magazine together. But what I've been doing ever since he went out of business and I couldn't get these is that I just put a steel tube in there, and that steel tube doesn't physically hold this together. So I was thinking, okay, well, maybe that's it. So I came in the next day, and the one I was working on had a painted magazine. By the way, if we do decide to do more of these, I've told them, I don't want you to paint these magazines, because this thing gets taken on and off so much. And when I'm sitting here trying to build one of these, if I slip with the screwdriver once, that's all she wrote for that. And, by the time you get to them, this part, it gets moved around and handled way more than the gun. So I don't think we're gonna try to get them to not paint any more of these magazines. So anyway, it was painted, and I was like, well, crap, if I put this on here, it's going to scratch it all up. So then I reverted back to what I did before I had these steel tubes, and that was to put zip ties around here. You put zip ties through the magazine like so, and then wrap them around and tuck your nut down in there so it doesn't get in the way. And I did that for quite a while before somebody found these tubes. So I put some like wax paper over it and cinched it down with some zip ties, and it still popped right off. I don't know, maybe some of you guys know what could be causing that. We do have a high flow valve in here, so there's more air going in here. And I was doing all this testing with 1,000 psi, and that's a little bit more pressure than CO2, and it's nitrogen, so it's a little more snappy. That could have had something to do with it, but I mean, come on. I used to run my build from Drawsmax at 1,600 psi with the factory auger with no issues with the auger. It jumped off one time, and it was kind of like it was a self-fixing problem, because it would just, it could, physically get back onto the cog, and I didn't even worry about it. But then again, I don't know, if this is all just me being used to not being satisfied with the first one I was given, and then doing everything that I did to get it to where I liked it, and then just kept moving on. So in a way, I'm kind of having to learn backwards with these. But as far as I know right now, I mean, it's got me really stumped. Anyway, building them out like this, they are able to accept 6 14-500s. By the way, do not be putting 14-500s in a stock Blackbird. Those boards are only good for about 15 volts. Somebody new to this, he went ahead and put 6 of them in his gun and sent me a video. And he's like, I don't understand what's going on. And he could see smoke coming out of the battery compartment. So yeah, those batteries are hot. When they're fully charged, they're 4.2 volts. So you put 6 of those things in there fully charged, you're looking at 25.2 volts, which, you know, is quite more than 15. I don't think the guy damaged his gun. That's not the first time I've seen somebody do that either. And fortunately, the other person figured out what was going on before there was any permanent damage done. But yeah, for stock Blackbird, you can use 3 with a jumper in one half of the compartment, but don't use more than 3. Yeah, I mean, I've heard guys using 18 volts and Bumblebee boards and having no issues, but I'm just saying, if you want to play it safe, no more than 3 in a stock Blackbird. But these boards, the 1200 round a minute boards that were designed for the replicas, they are 35 volt. They're capable of dealing with 35 volts. So we have some error room in there. So if you want to put 6 14500s in one of these replicas that I built that has Sergey's board in it, and the other modifications, go right ahead. You can do it. We used to run a similar setup, same motor, Sergey's board, with the 5S packs, which is 5 cells, and we were using 18650s, those big fat, real common lithium-ion batteries. 5 cells powered this just fine up to 2K. You know, the problem back then was we had a lot of air shots with 2,000 rounds a minute, but which is, you know, why we circled back to 1,200. But yeah, I mean, they can take it, but you probably don't need to run 6, is what I'm saying. When I get finished building this one, I'm actually going to find out if we can run it off of 3, and because that'll be the least that we could run it off of. I tried AA's in one, and they were the same AA's from the test from the other day, and it just went. It was too tired. They were just too tired. Now those were some Dollar General store batteries. I think they were Rayovac. I don't know how long stock batteries last, and I mean, AA's tend to last. And you know, a Blackbird, I'm sure somebody else out there knows, but they did not want to push the bigger Nishibo. And it is a 12 to 30 volt motor, so that would make sense. So hopefully we could get them running on 12. But yeah, you run 6 of them, you're running the motor faster, you're hitting the solenoid, the solenoid's hitting the valve harder, so it is going to give you more power to run 6. All right, guys. Yeah, let me know what you think down below. Right now, it's up in the air whether or not I'm going to get any more of these. I might just have to go back to doing the old mod work, the old 4K mods. And they don't seem to be very interested in getting Freebird off the ground. So who knows, man? I might have to go work in some stinking factory. I don't know. All right, later.